The best outreach method for beginners. So it was a humid evening. I was shriveled up in bed and my outreach just wasn't working at all. I had no clue what to do and I had to succeed in social media marketing. My back was against the wall. I didn't want to return to in person school in the coming school year. I didn't want to go to college either. I needed a solution and fast. So I tried cold email, tried Facebook, I tried cold call, but nothing was working at all. Thought I was unique. I thought this was only happening to me and that I must have some unique set of problems. I was wrong. This happens to absolutely everyone and everyone who doesn't understand leverage. What is leverage? So leverage in, its definition term is the exertion of force by means of a lever or an object used in a manner of a lever. And this is an alright definition, but we'll do something else. I prefer finding activities that yield exponential growth or exponential returns in your business, right? So something that, let's say your base level task gives you a 1x return. So you put one in, you get one out. At any given time, there are going to be tasks that have, a higher than 1x return. And those ones, so 100x, 200x, 3x, 4x, whatever it might be, the actual input that you put in is not equivalent to the output you get out. The output that you get out from putting the work in is going to be a lot higher. And that's very important to understand because as you are starting, high leverage tasks are very clear and they're very simple. Here they are. These are the three first high leverage tasks that you'd have starting an agency from scratch. So until you have your niche and service, deciding that is your highest leverage activity might only take 5 minutes, which is your, I guess, that one dot of labor, and it will return you, 50x, 100x that, because that is going to be, where your agency is built off. Next thing, so until you have all your profiles set up, so your Instagram outreach, whatever outreach platform you're going to be doing, until you created that, optimized it, that is going to be your highest leverage activity right after your niche. Getting a website doesn't matter. Getting a script doesn't matter. None of that stuff really matters until you have your profile set up. And then after that point, until you have your first meeting, which is a little bit of a jump, outreaching is going to be your highest leverage activity and nothing in between that, right? If you put in these, I guess, inputs, the output that you get on the other end is going to be a lot higher, right? You can build a website, but that might not give you an exponential return, whereas outreaching give you the exponential return that is a meeting, which could turn into your first client. And those returns are worth far more than anything else in your agency while starting. Remember when someone first told me this, it all seemed, super simple, a clear path to victory. Why could it be that simple? Because there's only 3 tasks that you really need to deliver on. Before I dive into those, I'll tell you how I tested this. So I was working on the RSC, first client challenge, and it was designed to only actually have 4 levels or stages in it. It was created using and leverage in exponential returns. So they understood this. And out of the 81 of the 100 people that participated in this first client challenge, they all got their first client, right? 81 out of 100, which is extremely high. So that must truly show the power it holds if something so big of with getting your first client is broken down into these 4 simple steps. So for the most of this video, I'm just going to show you how to execute on those 3 steps after we've broken down what will actually give you exponential returns in your business. So number 1 is your niche and service. That was my last video, so I'm not going to go too in depth over that one. The next one is going to be optimizing your profiles. So this is simple: present yourself as an organic human being, quote about yourself in the bio, casual pictures of your life, 5 to 10 minutes allocated maximum to this, and boom, that's your profile. So the third is going to be outreaching to your first meeting. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated because it requires a deep understanding of your niche along with some creativity. And you only need 1 meeting to start. So there's no point in doing outreach to book tons of meetings. So it doesn't make sense at all. And you don't need to, run ads, do Facebook, whatever it might be. Outreaching to tens of thousands of people doesn't really make sense because we only have to actually convince 1 person. So that's going to wipe out, cold email, mass DMs, paid ads, because we only need to convince 1 person, right? It's that simple. 1 person, that's it. So with the outreach we have left, I'd like to introduce what I think is by far the most effective way to land clients when you're first starting, and that is going to be omni-channel messaging. So this is where you contact prospects. So the same prospect. So let's say you've got a dude named Jim Bob Joe. We're going to contact him not only on Instagram, we're going to message him on Facebook, we're going to email him, and we're going to connect with him on LinkedIn along with calling him, right? And basically what we're going to do is we're going to hit people from every angle possible till it virtually guarantees a reply. Because if we go back, we only need to convince 1 person, just 1 person. Right, and the only drawback to this is very time consuming, right? It takes a lot of time to, find every single social and outreach them on every social, but that's all right because we don't need, thousands of meetings, right? A lot of people will go ahead trying to get their first client and start sending thousands of cold emails out. Well, that's great, but you probably won't see that great of results when all you have to do is just hunt down one person. Which, I mean, if you really try hard enough, you can do walk-ins. You can walk into a business in person. But the point is that you only need to convince one person. And omni-channel messaging is the fast way to do that right now where you're at. Super simple. You just find one prospect. So let's say we're gonna, yeah, like Jim Bob Joe, we're gonna hit him from every single angle possible until we get a reply. And if we get a no, that's completely fine. We can move on to the next person. That's the secret outreach method. It's gonna be all of them, right? And I'll open my paint here as I remind myself super quickly, show you a little bit about how it actually works. So we've got, let's say we got P1, so there's gonna be prospect 1, P2, P3, dot dot dot, and let's say P20. So let's say we can outreach to 20 prospects in a day. So until we have case studies, until we have, a pretty good foundation for our agency built up, are we, gonna want to approach someone like this, hitting them from lots of angles, hitting them from everywhere possible, right? And repeating this over and over again and hitting every single prospecting message with high quality messages, well thought out, calling them, making sure it's virtually impossible for them not to reply to us. Or, we can pick the alternative, which I don't think is as effective when you're first starting, which is just shooting out, straight shots to prospect, 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 all the way down. So you can do, maybe 100, 150 a day, right? Like this is great. And then dot, dot, dot is BP 150. So when you are getting your first client, when you're landing your first meetings, it makes a lot more sense to go with option number 1 over option number 2. Not because option 2 doesn't work. After you've, built up your initial client base, I would argue that option 2 is going to be a lot more effective, right? Because you're going to know what you're doing. You're going to have a little case study you can leverage. But while you're still trying to get your first meeting, if you can make sure every person that you actually message, you're getting in contact with, you're actually getting to sell them, you're going to easily sign clients, right? As long as you're a personable person, you follow pretty normal sales framework, you're not trying to big fish them or anything. It's going to be super simple landing a free trial client with that. And that being said, I hope this, I guess, omnipotent style, or it's not omnipotent, omni-channel messaging style has been something new that's introduced you. I know I haven't seen it talked about really anywhere else on YouTube. And it was personally how I actually landed my first client. I think it's super valuable. But that being said, I hope, the time that I stole from you today was worth the actual value that I provided in return. Go out there and get your first client, man.